Coach. Two weeks in a row, the pass rush hasn't been real successful. And I think you spoke last week about trying different things in terms of schemes or maybe even personnel. What do you reflecting on these 2 weeks? Where do you see that going forward?
We got to keep trying to build it. We got to create it with just volume of players. We try to pressure more schematically, just try to bring people, corners, linebackers, safeties. Sometimes the ball gets out quicker when you bring people because that's part of an offensive plan too. So I think it's a work in progress. We're still working at it. I'd love to be able to say, hey, listen, this guy's going to win one-on-one all the time. Not happening. We got to do a better job of just creating those situations. We had enough third downs, with some longs that we didn't get out of, and two of them were pressure oriented, and one was a screen, one was a bang, bang throw, made a play on us. So it's just something we got to get better at. There's no question. I mean, we need to create pressure. That's not always going to be sacks, but I mean, we need more pressure. We got to get the quarterback off his spot. We need to do a better job, and we're working at it to make sure that happens. And yeah, on third down especially, but even on first and second down throws, you don't control how quickly the ball is going to get out, but you do create your technique or the pressure you're trying to bring just schematically. So it's definitely at the forefront of things that we need to do a better job at right now.
Hey, Coach, was using the three-man front, was that something that you wanted to do because you didn't have Josh Kando, or was it just something that you thought might work because of De'Aaron King being mobile and such?
Yeah, hey, Bob. It's something we are always going to have a three-down package, and a lot of it's personnel-based for us, and who we think gives us the best chance to play defense that week. Some of it has to do with the opponent too. It both goes into that mindset. So that was the plan we thought was going to help us best put us in the situation to play the best we could. In hindsight, it didn't work. But all those decisions that we're making, it's all with the information that we're dealing with, who we have available, how they're playing, versus and that's always where it starts. Who do we have? What positions can we put them in that we think they're going to play the best? And then 1A, now who are we playing and does that work? Because you could say, hey, I want to play with 5 DBs on the field, and the type of offense you're going to play with won't allow that, vice versa with the three down front. So, we're always going to base out of 4 down. Last week, we thought it gave us the best chance. It's part of what we do, and we obviously didn't execute it to those first 2 drives. I think it was 13, 15 play drives, just play after play and third down critical stops that we have to make, don't make them. And it's a 4-yard gain here. It's a 12-yard gain there. And, we tried to pressure out of the front in the third series, try to do a better job with that. But there were a lot of issues, not just with that front, but just with some of the other things we were doing too that we're trying to work through and make sure it gets better. But, it's always about our guys that are available. And trying to get them in the best front that we could utilize the guys that we got. And then the offense that we're going to play would be the next 1A.
Coach, are you kind of, surprised, or I'm probably maybe not, intelligent enough to talk about it in this sort of way, but just like an inside to outside way that the defensive line could be applying more pressure, collapsing the pocket, stopping the run game. It just felt like with Marvin and Coop and Fabian Lovett and Corey Durden, like that would be the strength of this defense. I mean, in your scheme, can those guys do enough to compensate for other deficiencies when it comes to stopping the run game or pressuring the passer?
Yeah, we need them to, and we want them to, and listen, in the first 2 weeks, we've, played a 4-down front. Last week, we played more of a 3-down front. We're typically going to base more out of 4-down front than we will a 3-down front. And again, I kind of went into what goes into those decisions. Typically in the 3-down, we play a little bit more technique. Sometimes we move in the 4-down front. We try to play out of a base get-off front, and then we have change-ups for those guys to try and free up the D-line. And listen, it's critical to get people off schedule, and those first and second downs, and how you want to play, and giving those D linemen three-way goes. It's all meant to try and create TFLs. And we've got to do a better job. I've got to do a better job of just making sure that I'm changing it up enough for those fronts. Then they got to do a better job of executing as well. And it works together. But there's been some, it hurt when we lost Marv. Coop got a little banged up. It's all part of it, but True and Malcolm Ray and the defensive ends as well. It's all part. That unit's important. We're going to be as good as that defensive line is. I've got a ton of trust in JP and Odell and our players. We have to do it better.
It seemed like there might have been a couple coverage busts and things like on screen and things like that. Is that when talking to the players, is that guys trying to do too much? Is it mental lapses? Any common threads?
Not really a common thread, other than when there's a misexecution, you always look at, okay, have we repped it enough? Did we put them in that situation? And if so, then why did it happen? And that's just the check and balances that you go through as a coach, right? All right, we put them in this call. How many times did we rep that call versus the look that they saw? Did they get enough reps? Did the player know what he was able to execute? Whatever the situation is, that there was an error or an assignment, those things got to get corrected. And, sometimes it's man coverage, sometimes it's zone coverage, whatever that is. But, we want to be simple enough so our guys can react and play fast. Some of it just situationally, third and mediums play different than third and longs. And, we try to make sure we educate them on those situations. But on that first third down, we had a pressure and we didn't execute on one side. So it was a bang, bang throw. And, one piece is a little bit tighter on his coverage. The other piece can play tighter on his coverage. And so it becomes a ripple effect when one job doesn't get done. So, there's not really a common thread to it.
I guess you kind of sort of touched on it there, Coach, but just, you talked about the amount of pressure you tried to bring against Miami. And, there was a lot of times where we saw the linebackers triggering and brought in on pressures, but not able to get home. I mean, are there alleys open for the linebackers to be attacking the passer, or are bodies not being moved around to create those sort of open spaces for them to get home?
Yeah, well, sometimes if there's a quick throw or, a back out, when a backer comes, sometimes there's replacement throws that happen off of that. So I would say each case is each case. I think there's sometimes that we got free rushers and ball gets out. Sometimes that we get guys on the quarterback and he escapes. But whether it's getting there faster or getting the quarterback on the ground when we do get there, or having tighter coverage when there's an outlet throw, those are all pieces that need to work together in creating pressure. It can't, hey, we blitz one guy and then there's a little bit loosing coverage on one side, and the ball comes out. Or when it's the one-on-one with a back or one-on-one with a quarterback, those are things that you have to be able to finish for sure.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
We'll wrap up with Coach Papuchis here in just a minute.